Do these bankers have to what? Steal from you and from them and from their grandchildren? Okay, with this indebtedness and this fiat currency that buys less and less, and this inflation that's coming because you got to love it. They created more money in 6 months than the gross domestic product of the country. They're the ones who caused the problem. Remember, crisis, banking crisis, oh my God. Problem, reaction, solution. They created the problem. Now they're coming as our savior with the solution. The solution is to tax you and your grandchildren's grandchildren and to put you and them in debt. While we create a Department of Homeland Security who says, you complained? You complained while you're in the aircraft flight line or whatever? Off you go. Pull them away. Patriot Act, He said something that, he disagrees with the way the things are going. This country, as far as freedom of speech goes, presently they're trying to pass hate speech laws. It's not popular speech that needs to be protected. Do you think popular speech needs to be protected? It's the unpopular speech. It's the people showing that the emperor's naked. It's the person doing the investigative reporting. That's what needs to be protected. It's the people getting the truth out, whether it's leaking the truth out or shouting the truth out. They're the ones who need protection. That's why we have a First Amendment. We don't need free speech zones with people in cages and barbed wire. No. This is the United States of America. And for you out there who haven't figured out the form of government we're supposed to have, it's a constitutional republic. Okay? So once again, think of the crisis. I put in the piece in there about the toxin in the water because you needed to understand that it's not just me. I didn't come up with this by myself, And I'm not here saying that, hey, you have to decide for yourself. If a Nobel Prize winner in medicine tells you it's not good, if a dentist tells you, gee, I used to do it, but now I learned stuff, maybe you should learn stuff. Maybe it's time to start thinking. Or maybe it's time to up your Prozac allotment or your Ritalin allotment. Have you figured out they're drugging you down? They're drugging you down every way they can. And meanwhile, the box. People are now spending money on big boxes, Meanwhile, when you go to the airport, they ask you for your papers. Well, once again, I want to show you my papers. Have you read the Bill of Rights? Why do we have it? Okay? Now they're going to tell you, well, you have no Second Amendment because you could be, possibly, maybe. Well, I think when I read the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, you have to find someone guilty. You can't say you're guilty and they have to prove their innocence. That's what Hitler did. Now, it's not that everything's Hitler, but when you see the same things going, let alone you find out that some of the people behind the scenes just happen to be those who made money off those wars, who funded the rise of Hitler. Find out who Thiessen was. Find out who Prescott Bush was. Find out if Prescott Bush had his assets frozen in 1942 by the McCormick-Dickstein Committee. The United States Congress got off their derrieres and froze one of your president's grandpappy's money because he was a bagman. But that's just me making statements. What if I asked you a question? Did you ever hear of Prescott Bush? Did you understand that this guy had his assets frozen under the Trading with the Enemies Act? That he was on the board of Brown Brothers Harriman, the bank that Thiessen used? Remember when they used slave labor in Germany, the Nazis? Who made money? Was that Thiessen the industrialist who wrote the book, I Built Hitler? I built the whole Nazi regime? And when you see we're going to have youth corps that your latest puppet as president said are going to be as strong and as well equipped as the United States military.
We cannot continue to rely only on our military in order to achieve the national security objectives that we've set. We've got to have a civilian national security force that's just as powerful, just as strong, just as well funded.
Citizenship is not an entitlement program. It comes with responsibilities. Everybody somewhere between the ages of 18 and 25 will serve 3 months of basic training and understanding in a kind of civil defense.
Now, it doesn't always have to be service in uniform. One of the things that if you talk to our generals, they are desperate for is a civilian counterpart to our military force.
So is this compulsory then?
Well, you have to, in a sense, it's required of everybody. 18 to 25, 3 months, and at some point at that point you do it. Obviously, I'm not going to say perfect legislation. We'll work that process through.
You could do it during a college summer, or you could do it after
Anytime.
high school.
While they use your military on wars based on lies. And they take your National Guard, the ones who should be guarding the nation, you know, and they send them away. And people, it's so Orwellian. We have now the Department of Defense. They're the ones that doing the wars. We used to have a War Department. At least we were honest. I mean, have you figured out that your criminals in D.C., the District of Criminals, that you have some criminals? It's not that the government's bad. It's just every now and then you get crooks in it. And it's up to you to stand up against torture. It's up to you to stand up for free speech. It's up to you to stand up for the Fourth Amendment. It's up to you to stand up for the Second Amendment. This thing doesn't protect itself. It doesn't come with its own, who are you kidding? Every day they're trying to do unconstitutional stuff. Every single day. And they do it by using crises. Crisis this, crisis that, crisis this. When will you, viewer, realize that you have an obligation to yourself, to your family, to your grandchildren who aren't even born yet, to your great-grandchildren, that there is a cost with liberty, and that it's you out there, that viewer, who has to do something about it. It's time to get in the arena, to become active, and to not just go with the hype. Oh, he's gonna stop the war, and he doesn't. He's gonna stop torture, but he doesn't close all the other facilities. He's gonna what? Think about all those guys in Guantanamo. Is that innocent until proven guilty? We invade a country based on a lie, weapons of mass destruction, and the only weapons were the ones that Rumsfeld and company sold them. Okay, but we invade a country based on a lie. Okay, had nothing to do with 9/11. Okay, I'm talking about Iraq. And then we grab these people and we bring them to another country and hold them prisoner for years and years and years. No jury of their peers, no evidence shown. They're out of sight, out of mind. What kind of people are we training who do this kind of torture, who run these kind of facilities? Is these the kind of people that you want to fund with your tax dollars? And then when you get the new change guy in and he doesn't change it, he says it, it's nice words, very politician. I step on your shoes, but I don't ruin the shine. He hasn't closed Guantanamo. He hasn't released those people and sent them home. Okay? You either have evidence and you try them, but you try them like you try Americans. See, that's the thing about the Patriot Act. That's the thing about the John Warner Defense Authorization Act. That's the thing about a lot of the laws that change because of the crisis of terrorism. We all of a sudden said, well, people are less than human, they don't deserve rights. We have television programming you subconsciously, okay, on shows like 24 that torture's okay if you're doing it for a good reason. You'll have to ask yourself, once again, go to the mirror. Look deeply in your own eyes and ask yourself, what excuses can I use to make my grandchildren believe me why you didn't get in the arena, why you didn't fight for their liberty, why you didn't fight for their freedom, why you allowed globalist bankers to tax every breath they take, why you allowed them to put toxins in their water. You practice those excuses. Then maybe you want to come on the show. We'll get a second seat, and you can tell the viewers now why you were too busy. You don't have the Celtics anymore. Evidently, you don't have the Bruins. They're out of it, okay? So for you sports fans, what's more sporting? What is more sporting than the contest, for liberty? Is there something more sporting? Are you real sportsmen out there? What's a sporting thing? What makes you feel like you're alive? Helping your family or boob tubing it, So, I say you know too much. Positive things. Get up. Inform your neighbors. Call your representatives, okay? When they start passing unconstitutional laws, be the person who screams and yells and says no, okay? When they start saying we're going to put your neighbor on a list, but we're not going to tell you why, we're not going to tell you how, we're not going to show any evidence, okay? And then we're going to say, well, he doesn't have the right for self-defense in regards to the Second Amendment, let alone defense against tyranny, the purpose of the Second Amendment. And by the way, for all you listeners and viewers out there, it's not up to someone in Washington. It's up to you. Once again, you defend this. you defend the Second Amendment, you defend the First Amendment. The freedom of speech, you defend it. The right to assemble, you defend it. Freedom of religion, you defend it. The right to keep and bear arms, you defend it. Speedy trial, you defend it. Self-incrimination, you defend it. This is all about you. It's not about me. I will say this. It does involve your children, your grandchildren, and those who aren't even born yet. So, I'll ask you viewers once again, are you getting in the arena? Are you going to fight for this republic and the liberties and freedoms that make it a great country? Or are you going to allow a bunch of criminals and bankers, banksters, to come and steal this from you and from your posterity? So on a positive note, get in the arena. Come on in, the water's fine. This is what life's about. And thanks for watching.